Brittany with the Rancher's Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a canning project. So deer season is coming up and my family is hunters, and so my husband and my 3 daughters all hunt, and we like to get venison in our freezer. And last year everybody got a deer, and so we were packed with venison. Now I did do some of it into different products. So a good friend of ours has a butcher shop and he makes amazing products. So we did venison hot dogs, we did breakfast sausages out of the venison, we did some snack sticks. So we did do products, but I also got a lot of cuts and we haven't ate them all. So today I am going to take some of my ground venison and I'm going to can it into pint-sized jars, because 1 pound of venison fits into a pint-sized jar, and then I will have it on my shelf to be able to throw into any recipe that I want. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cook your ground beef or ground venison, which is what I'm using. Now, it's important to note that 1 pound of venison or ground beef fits into 1 pint. 2 pounds fit in 2 quarts. For my family and my size, we usually eat a pound of meat at a time. So I'm gonna do pint-sized jars, which means I took out 7 pounds of ground venison, and I'm gonna cook it here in my pot. And I have several inches of water in my canner here. And once my venison is cooked, then I am going to add it to my jars and get ready to can it. Okay, now that all of my meat is brown, I'm gonna go ahead and fill my jars. Now, you wanna fill your jars to a 1-inch headspace. And I'm gonna top it off with just a little bit of water at the end here, but this is just plain cooked ground venison. If you had a meat that was fattier, like a ground beef, then you would want to drain it before doing this. But since it's venison, there's very little fat in it, and so I'm not going to take the necessary step of draining it. It'll be fine. So I'm going to add in my meat to a 1-inch headspace into each of my jars. Now this step is completely optional, but I'm gonna add a ½ teaspoon of salt into each jar. This just adds for the flavoring. If you were doing quart-sized jars, you would do a full teaspoon of salt in each jar if you wanted to add that. You could also add in some vegetables like onions and peppers and things like that when you're cooking the meat and waiting. You just would wait till your vegetables are soft. That's another good option. I don't do that because I like them to be versatile to add to whatever dish I want to add them to. Okay, now I'm just going to add some hot water to a 1-inch headspace into each jar. Now you want to take the back of a wooden spoon, or I like to use this tool here, and just put it down into the jar a couple times. You want to get out any air pockets that could be in there. You will see if you have a little bit of fat still in your jar or in your meat, just kind of a little bit of fatty yellow rising to the top. That's completely fine. Okay, now you're gonna take a clean towel and you're going to wipe the rims of your jars very, very good. You want to make sure there's nothing on them or they will not seal. Okay, now you're going to cap each of your jars. And you're going to screw down your lids fingertip tight. That just means as soon as you hit resistance, you are going to go ahead and stop. You don't want to crank them down too much, but you want them to hold your lid into place while they're in the canner. Okay, now each of these jars is ready to get into the canner, and then we'll get ready to start it. Okay, now that all of my jars are in the canner, we're gonna go ahead and get our lid on. You wanna make sure that the water is about halfway up the jar, because if they aren't, then it could evaporate too much water during the process. These are gonna process for a really long time, so you wanna make sure that there is enough water in there. We slide our lid into place, and then we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. And that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my canner going just like this. You'll notice that my weighted gate is on. That's because it has an automatic vent system right here in the handle, and it will vent itself and then seal off when it's done venting and begin to build pressure. These are going to process for 1 hour and 15 minutes as pint-sized jars. If you were going to do quart-sized jars, you would do 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I just need to stay within earshot of my canner, and once I hear it start to jiggle and rock back and forth, my weight here, I will go ahead and start my timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Other than that, I don't need to do anything else to my canner right now. Okay, the timer's gone off, and I'm gonna let my canner come completely down to 0. And then I'm gonna wait a minimum of 20 minutes before I remove the lid and remove my jar. I usually wait hours. I don't usually mess with it for a couple hours. It just makes it much easier to get that lid off and get the jars out. Now you will have ground venison, or if you did beef, ground beef on your shelf to use for a quick taco night, spaghetti, anything where you forget to take out your meat. You have some already ready to go. You just have to heat it up really quickly. It's super simple to use. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video. I send out 1 new video every single week. Jump on over to the blog and put in your email address. I send out an email on Tuesdays every week, and it usually has this video and anything that we are doing that week here on the homestead. I hope that this video was really helpful for you, and we will see you next time. Take care.